So today is the 6th of the 5th, 2023. I'm going to do a second video because I have such a backlog on the English um, site. So now I'm going to just tell some stories of what happened here that you get a general feeling of the craziness. Sometimes what's up here. So one of the stories, the beginning is one day this couple comes up with their two children and they said, "Oh, we had to come back here because it's such a special place for us." And I said, "How come?" And they said, they told me the story. And the story went like this. I was basically pretty much booked out, and suddenly this bus arrives with eight tourists in there, a minibus. And they come out, and they come into the bar, and there's like big party going on as usual, and so on. And they say, "Have you got room for us?" And I said, "I'm sorry, no, I don't have any room. I'm booked out." And they said, "No, no, 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 no. We extra came. One of the reasons to come to Jamaica was Shafston. We've heard so much about it. We need to stay here. It's been our goal, and you have to find something." I said, "No, it's just I'm just booked out. I'm just sorry. I just can't do it." "Oh, well, sleep in the hammocks because I had all these hammocks always everywhere." And I said, "No, sorry, I don't do that. I just hated it when people like slept in the hammocks and the other regular guests had to go past them and no, and so on. That was just a no-no for me. Not in the hammocks." So, and they just kept on insisting and saying, "Hey, come on, something must can be done. We need to stay here." And I said, "Well, the only place where I would have room for so much people anyway would be my dormitory because I had a dormitory in the barn at that time with four double beds." And I said, "Well, yeah." And they say, "Hey, yeah, yeah, no problem. We'll stay in the dormitory. Yeah, great, fun, fantastic," and so on. I said, "The problem is, I've already got three people in the dormitory." And they said, "Well, can't you find something else for them?" And so and I said, "Well, I have one double room, but it's three people." And and there was a girl in the bar. She heard that, and she said, "Hey, I'm in a double room. Alone, and I don't have a problem sharing the room with somebody else, you know." And so basically, the problem was solved. The couple went into the double room I had, and the gentleman who was it went into her room. Anyway, that was her future husband. That's how they got to know each other. So these are the little things that happened in Shafston. So now I want to tell a couple of funny little police stories. The first one happened when I was on a tour. I was touring the island, and I had like I was that was very early days when I still had my VW bus, and it had already done a lot of work. It was not exactly top of the line VW bus anymore. It was 25 years old, and so outside of Port Antonio, I was stopped in a roadblock, and it happened to be the worst roadblock possible. It happened to be a roadblock with an examiner. So I'm like, "Oh shit, no, I'm really fucked." And and one of the examiners says, if you could drive the van." And I said, "Well, sir, if you dare to, just go ahead." And he looked very skeptical. He got in the truck in the VW and drove like I think 3 feet, stopped and said, "Take off your plates." And I'm like, "Oh shoots." That would have meant I would have had to come back two more times to Port Antonio. One time to show that the van was fit, and the other one for the court case. And I'm like, shit. And I was so busy at the time. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Or driving extra over onto the other side of the island 2 times for this stuff. Hmm. And that time, there were no highways like there are now. The roads were really small and very narrow and very. It took a long time. I mean, it took like from Bluefields to Port Antonio was like 10 hours or something like that. It was pretty crazy. So I'm like, oh shit, I'm really fucked now. And so I was just about to find some tools to take off the license plate, and the other examiner says, "Hey, I know you." And I said, "Oh yeah, you're my brethren, man, from long time. Me know you too, man. A good brethren you be." And him say he didn't let me off so easily. He said, "So where do you know me from?" And I'm like, "Ooh, I had no idea whatsoever, just no idea." And I knew I couldn't say I don't know because that would have been like I know you and yeah 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 and then I don't know anything. So I just took a wild guess and I said Kingston. He said yeah, from Kingston. Ah, exactly, yeah. And it was like this. I had been looking for a floor polisher and I found a floor polisher in the papers, written up in the papers, and I went to the address to buy it because at that time we didn't have the liquid floor polish, which self shines. It was like you had to actually polish the floors after you use the polish. So I was trying to find a floor polisher for my mahogany floors. And anyway, so I went to the yard and I bought the floor polisher. And in the neighbor's yard, there was this guy mowing his lawn, and he had these Land Rovers in there. And I had Land Rovers at the time too, so I was kind of interested. And we started like a talk over the fence, and then he invited me in and said, "Come in, and I'll show you my Land Rovers." And so he was showing me his Land Rovers, and we talked about this and that and the other, and that was the guy, that was the examiner, and he explained it, and then of course I remember too, and and I just guessed because I knew him. He said, "Go on, man, leave your license plate on and just go on." So that was that little story. Um, Another great story was when I was driving down the road one time, and the police chief in Bluefields said, because at the end of the road was the police station opposite, and he said, "Hey, Frank." Everybody in the bus was like, "Oh gosh, I hope nothing's wrong," or something like that. And so, "Come over here, come over here." So I go up into the police station and say, "Nacho, you smoke me something, Nacho?" And we say, "Yeah, man, me smoke me something, you know." And he say, "Well, I have something for you. Give me something for it on anything." So he opens this huge bag of ganja, and it was very dry, and I kind of not exactly the ganja I would have like. I preferred or something, but I didn't want to be impolite, and so I said, "My copy is a little bit dry though." And he say, "Don't worry yourself. You just put it out in the morning dew, and it will be nice and fresh again." So I guess I didn't have any more arguments, so I gave him a couple of dollars, and I think I threw the whole lot away. And as I said, I didn't want to be disrespectful, so that was another little story. Um, okay. Well, I think we're at the end of it, so I'll have another continuation of that. And if you want to donate, PayPal, cooliscam@gmail.com. Thank you very much for listening.